Good morning again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for day 2 of the As One Leadership Summit. My name is Holly Mays, and I work for the Department of Associated Students as the Assistant Director of Governmental Affairs. And I would like to start us off today by introducing your Internal Vice President, Dee Schaeffer.
Hi, everyone. 1 second, please hold on. Okay, my family's right outside my window, so you might hear them, but hi everyone, my name is Dee Schaeffer. I just have a quick statement to read to you all before we get started. And I wanted to say on behalf of the AS President, the EVPLA, and the SAG, and myself, I would like to welcome you to this training on Introduction to the LRC. The following curriculum supports our vision for the 2021-2022 academic year and the knowledge we find essential for the association as we start fall quarter. Please note that this training session is a portion of the information you will be required to learn as per legal code. Please take this time to be an active participant and engage with your fellow peers. And we look forward to serving you. That's all I wanted to say. I hope you're having a good morning so far. That's it. And I'd like to pass it off to Robin, our facilitator today.
Thank you, Bea. Hello, everyone. So my name is Robin Unander, and I have been I've been with Associated Students since 2003. So I'm kind of old guard that way. But I've also been with UCSB for even longer than that. I graduated from UCSB in 1992. Yes, I'm old. I'm like the age of your parents. So it's okay if you sort of like look at me and think she looks like a mom, because I am a mom. But I've been with Legal Resource Center since 2003. And I had kind of an interesting start with being an independent contractor, and it kind of felt like a bastard child for a lot of years because I always wanted to be an employee, always felt like I was an employee. But there was some interesting limitations from the university about my ability to do that. So last year, thankfully, labor laws changed and the university decided to yield and made me a real person. Now I'm an employee. So you guys own me now. And that was a good year. I mean, despite everything going on in 2020, me becoming an employee finally was an awesome transition. So I'm here, and I'm serving currently 2 roles. I serve for the Legal Resource Center, which is where I'm sitting right now. I'm back in my office. We're in the Pardall Center up on the 2nd floor. We've actually been here since 2006, which is before even downstairs opened up. And I am the legal advisor, although I'm not allowed to give legal advice, but I'm the legal advisor. Go with it. And we provide information and education to all registered UCSB students who have legal issues about anything. So even if it's something that I don't necessarily practice in that area of law or have working knowledge, we try to sort of figure out some basics and then maybe make some referrals for the student as far as either attorneys that might be in town that I know, or what kind of attorney they might need to find if there's nobody in town that can really help them. So we've been busy, even though we've been remote since March of 2020. And I remember the day that they basically said, okay, get the hell out of your office. You're going to have to work from home now. And we figured out how to scramble, and we did it. And so we have been serving students continuously without interruption since approximately March 2020. And now that I'm back, we're starting to integrate how we're going to do some in-person appointments. I'm fortunate that I've also got permission to do some hybrids. So I will be here for some of the appointments. I will be doing some remote. And it's interesting. I think some of the students prefer remote and other students prefer in person. So it's nice to kind of be able to offer that blend. We primarily talk about landlord-tenant issues, which can include not only just landlord and tenant, but kind of roommate. We are not supposed to talk about conflicts between UCSB students. So I don't want students to be, trying to resort to Google. And I even have this special mug that says, please do not confuse your Google search with my law degree. Because we get a lot of people that, you guys are resourceful, and so they do try and go and research on their own. So if I have a conflict that's student and student, or even student against university, which another one we're not supposed to really deal with, I will at least try and educate them about, well, here's what the law says. Here's sort of where your position is in this, but I can't really advise them on how to fill out the small claims court, or here's your strategy to take from here, but at least providing some information so they have a grounding in what the law is about something. My other hat that I wear, so besides landlord tenant, we do a lot, the next kind of category usually, although not last year, is criminal. So they get citations for MIPs, fake IDs, drunken public, DUIs, drug possession. We talk about it. And if they have a bike accident, because that comes up too, we talk about that. We talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. You have no idea all the stuff that I've talked with students about over the years that would probably shock your conscience, that these students have to deal with some of these legal issues. So the other hat that I'm wearing currently is also with IVTU. So both LRC and IVTU are service-oriented organizations. IVTU is also an advocate organization as far as, if there's a housing situation going on, they can campaign, they can create protests, they can create awareness, they can do things that Legal Resource Center can't because they're a tenants union. And so we also have the service component of tenants union where people from the community, so it doesn't just have to be a UCSB student. So we support City College students that live here in Isla Vista. We support family members or families that live here in Isla Vista, working people that live here in Isla Vista. Anyone who's an Isla Vista resident can use IVTU. So there's a little bit of overlap between LRC and IVTU. If there's a UCSB student, I would say probably most people that come to LRC for landlord tenant think they're coming to IVTU. So there is some confusion, but basically at the moment it's me anyway, me all day. We have a recruitment process going on to hire a second person. So I'm excited for that because July and August I was solo and got pretty slammed. And so I'm kind of the calm before the storm right now. October, November are usually pretty busy months. I also talk with students who are interested in law. So if any of you are pre-law or you're wanting to know anything more about that, I'm always happy. I love my job and I love this career that I've chosen. And so I'm still passionate about it, not burned out, even though it's 26 years. We have internships here. And so what that looks like is students help us with intake. So they do intake interviews. And then depending on, how long that they've been doing it, how comfortable they are with the material, and as long as they're not giving legal advice, then sometimes the interns will basically resolve the issue or the question with the student. And then otherwise, they refer it on to me and then I take over from there. So right now we have 9 interns starting for the fall quarter. They do 1 shift a week, 3 hours, Monday through Friday, and have a good experience of kind of learning a little bit about what it's like sitting in this chair and seeing some of the stuff that I see and having to kind of go through the process of breaking things down and strategizing maybe a resolution that the student can apply. So if you're interested in internships, we do that. They're unpaid, but I write great letters of recommendation. I think that's kind of the gist of it for right now. Do we have opportunity for questions?
Yes, absolutely. Do you mind sharing before we ask any questions? If a student wants a consultation with you, how do they do that?
Thank you, Holly. Okay, so we got really good with being all remote, and we set up something between our website, which is legal.as.ucsb.edu, and then IVTU has the same. I think there's is ivtu.as.ucsb.edu. There is a button that you can click on to book an appointment. You can book 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it'll show you the availability. And that's it. And you make sure you do an intake form and complete the steps that you need to get a confirmed appointment. And then for right now, we're still doing it by Zoom as we're working out logistics here at the office of bringing people in and trying to set up a little reception area downstairs in our back parking lot. But pretty soon we will offer our early appointments, so 11 to 2 in person here at the office, and then the afternoon appointments will be via remote. But you'll get an idea of where the location is when you book your appointment. Anything else?
Oh, I see Nate's hand is raised.
Let's see. Can you call? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah,
Nate.
I was just wondering if if your guys' internships are like, are they summer internships or are they more during the school year?
Oh, they're all year round, because we are cranking all year round, and it just, the subject matter seems to be cyclical of what we're primarily talking about at any given quarter. We do require a 2-quarter commitment, or request. I guess we can't really enforce that. We request a 2-quarter commitment, mostly because there's a pretty considerable learning curve. And so that first quarter, you're really kind of shadowing, learning, and getting up to speed. And then the second quarter is when you've got a better handle on the material, and the questions that come up, and you kind of run a little further with it. We have students that intern for like a year and a half. They just like doing it. So it's all year round.
Got it. Thank you.
Anybody else? I'm not seeing any more hands. Are you, B?
I am not.
Okay. Holly, do you have anything else you'd like me to cover?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay.
CB, you've got your hand raised.
Oh.
Yes. I have a question, a last question. There's a lot of BCU appointed members in the audience and senators. And so I wanted to know from your perspective, how could First Senate liaisons and senators help the LRC kind of voice its resources if that's needed, and how appointed members can do the same?
Sure, that's a great question. So we operate a little differently because we're kind of considered a business service. So we don't have like the same student committee that like IBTU does. And so we have a student unit director, and her name's Sarah. And she has a certain authority to make certain decisions. We have an advisory board that if there's going to be decisions involving a certain monetary amount over, I think, $250, that she would consult with. And our advisory board is basically our interns, because that was the easiest sort of group to pull together, and they know what's going on in the office. So it's a group that is well aware of what our needs are. So where we need help from you guys, sometimes things come up and we need our Senate liaison to basically connect or network with other senators to make them aware of whatever the issue is that we're facing or challenged with. So I'm not sure if we have a Senate liaison here, but when we do get one, I love to connect with that person and have them connect with our unit director, Sarah. Sarah was an intern, and I've only met Sarah in person once. So she was an intern that started with me last summer and was one of the first 2 that kind of, we did this whole hybrid internship thing to do remote. And so working with her is going to be the best way to kind of help support whatever our needs are as they come up. Last year was a pretty simple year. We didn't have a whole lot, but we have had things in the past. April, are you you're my Senate liaison? I'm thinking.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, I emailed you via my AS email a while ago.
Awesome. I'm going to make a note about that, because this summer has been a blur as far as me remembering anything. Okay, Senate. Got it. April, I will connect you and Sarah so that you guys can have each other's contact information. You know, we did have stuff in the past, like last year, it kind of came up where the university didn't want us to do anything that involves practicing law or providing legal information. So we campaigned hard to get the university to try to turn left on that. And ultimately they didn't, but we're still sort of working that out, or trying to figure out how we might be able to finagle in there to make the service more consistent with what our lock-in fee was from back in 2001. So that's, you know, kind of one area that we may be able to draw on Senate as far as creating some movement there. Holly, you got a question?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm wondering if you could share more about what the intake process looks like. So like, say I have an issue and I come to you, like what are the next steps? Is what I share with you private? Just more about the intake process. I'm curious about that.
Sure. That's a tough question. Okay, so intake process is normally you do your intake form and then we have our appointment. So whether we have it in person or whether we have it by Zoom, there's going to be a sharing of information where you're giving me information. I might be asking you questions so I have a better understanding of what's going on and what your questions really are and how to kind of resolve the situation. And that's kind of basically the gist of the intake. And then the consultation is trying to figure out how do we move forward from whatever the conflict is that the student's having. And sometimes there's follow-up appointments. Sometimes there's lots of follow-up appointments as the situation evolves. We don't put any limit on how many follow-up appointments you have. If you have a practice of making appointments and then no showing, I may block you and say you're on the no-fly list right now, because that's taking up a valuable appointment that another student could have used. So that's the only time we really kind of cut students off if they're going to make appointments and not cancel or reschedule them. So we have sometimes, several follow-ups depending on the situation as it evolves, and it can take months. And so it's each consultation is trying to address what is the sort of immediate situation and what the student can do on their own. I mean, the idea is that we're empowering students to the extent possible to work through the situation on their own, empowered with knowledge about what the law is and sort of where they can push, and some strategies maybe that they can try. And then you had another question. Okay, so technically, because we are not providing legal advice and I am not wearing my technical lawyer hat, technically it's private, but it's not confidential. But I will go to the grave with whatever is shared with me. And I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that answer. Thank you. I also wanted to clarify too for the folks that are listening, I meant for students that visit the LRC and see Robin, or even community members that maybe visit IBTU. I know I posed it as if it came from me, but I meant from you all. So thank you for that.
Anything else? Looks like all is quiet. So we're here Monday through Friday. I don't do weekends. My last appointment is at 5 p.m. So hopefully that gives enough availability for students to find a spot. Right now we're appointment only. We used to be drop-ins, so I'm not sure if we'll go back to that because with COVID, it makes things more structured that we have to do it. So for right now, everybody gets an appointment. And I look forward to meeting those of you. I've got my 2 senators, yay, Jesse and April. Thank you guys. And I'll follow up and put you guys in contact with Sarah. Jesse, do I have an email from you? Because April sent me an email. And then if I don't have an email from you, Jesse, can you send me one? And my email, I'll just send it to you right now.
Yeah, can I also add your email to the chat, Robin, for any folks that maybe want to reach out to you?
Yep.
Can you remind me of what that is? Is it Robin U?
Yeah, Robin U at AS. I never know if we're supposed to use the AS one or UCSB.edu one. But
I think it can be either.
I think it could be either. I'm just not sure if they want us to switch over or not, but Robin U at AS, yes.
That's all good. Do you also know off the top of your head the link or where to find the online form to make an appointment?
Yes, let me put that in the chat.
Okay.
So. And that's for AS, or I'm sorry, that's for LRC. And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what you do as far as whether you go through LRC or you go through IBTU. Both of them funnel to the same place. to make the appointment. So it doesn't really matter how you get there. Once you get there, you can decide, do I want a legal resource center appointment? Do I want an IVTU appointment? And he said, at the end of the day, it kind of doesn't matter. It's just, there's some students that they have in their mind, they need one versus the other. And so both of them are up there.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Robin,
All
for
right.
being with
Thank
us
you, guys.
today.
You too. Have a great rest of your summit.